Your cell, the number of cells we have in our body is 40 trillion. The number of bacteria we have in our body is 100 trillion. So we are very little humans. We are more bacteria. And that bacteria that you're talking about, Clostridium, is anaerobic bacteria. It evolved about 2.5 to 3 billion years ago. And 95% of microbiome, or the bacteria that is in our body, is Clostridium related. So they have more cells, they sit in our stomach, and Ayurveda is one system of science that you may have heard about. Everything starts and gets treated with Jataragni from your stomach. One more fact, and then I'll tell you about botulinum. One more fact is that we are all known for our brain. And brain is the one which controls our body. But 80 to 90% of neurotransmitters that are released are in your gut and a connection between gut and brain. And so this bacteria, Clostridium, controls your brain most of the time. You think that you are running your body, it is that which is running the body. And that has evolved over 3 billion years. So you are basically an AC room for that bacteria. And that's how the journey starts for it. So there is so much mystery. In addition to Botox, I used to tell that maybe it's your great 10 to the power 28 mother gave you some medicine, so when you look bad, you can use it. Just like moms put some ointment on children's face, this is a kind of that ointment. It's not exactly ointment, you still have to get pain of injected. And something that is our latest technology is that maybe in a year or so, you would not have to. Because we have created a compound, the formulation, that does not need the needles. Why? Because our skin is the largest organ that we have. And it is more resilient. It doesn't allow everything to go through. And believe it or not, the one that has allowed it to go through comes from a plant. So it is a herbal product that is allowing this big Botox to go inside your body locally where you want. And so my journey, in a way, with Clostridium being the origin of our great-great-grandmother, and me being very lucky to start with this. I'm basically a chemist, and I was interested in chemistry, became biochemist, more understanding of how these different kind of chemicals, which eventually, or modern drug people make everything through chemicals. But this is a tradition that this bacteria started a long time ago. And that toxin that it produces, it not only what I was just saying, this anaerobic bacteria control your brain, but this one really punishes you if you don't do well. And what it does, it uses its structure to cleave a protein in our brain that otherwise allows passage of different kind of chemicals from inside to the outside. In this case, that one we know most closely or more appropriately is the acetylcholine that controls our muscles. That I'm doing this, it's happening because of that. I'm breathing also, it's happening because of that. I'm talking also, it's happening because of that. So when it blocks that release of acetylcholine, our muscle gets paralyzed. And so it is not just big Botox, it's big bioterror agent also. And I became more famous because of that because just about when I joined the faculty at the University of Massachusetts, 91 Gulf War happened. And Saddam Hussein had 19,000 liters of this. So my group became very popular because Naval Research Lab, Department of Defense, CDC, all these people were trying to find a counter. And they found my name somewhere. and I started working with them, and that has become a very important factor in whatever success I have. Because government in the United States highly appreciated, funded very well, and the Bachulanam Research Center was established by them. So then today we can still do this kind of research, continue to do this research.
Of course, we've all sort of, been fed on on the terror that movies show us about biochemists really creating, world-destroying little agents which we cannot find out, etc., etc. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword research, isn't it? And you are, of course, at the cutting edge of that research. And on the other hand, you're also heading the Indic studies bit of it, where your research includes that into Ayurveda and the science of yoga. So literally, that bridge that we're talking about in this session is you.
I'm like I said, I'm from a village. One of the culture of the village is you have to be very humble. I am just very fortunate to have opportunity like that. So you may call it at the cutting edge. I'm saying that I'm the bottom of it. So you asked, how is this the connection? Biotechnology. If you read on the top, what I say, biotechnology is the biological or life engineering. At the bottom, you see here, in Hindi, life is called Jeevan or Jeev. Actually, Jeev is biotechnology. Jeevan technology is more like what we are talking about. When we are talking about looking better, looking healthier, it's really whole life, not just the bio. Bio could be almost anything. We have in our body, I just said only bacteria has only 100 trillion. There are viruses which are 400 trillion. So why corona gets us is because they are in majority. They can vote us out whenever they want to. But important thing is the connection you asked for. Actually, connection even just in terms of words, linguistics, Jeevan is what is created by Brahma. And I'm not talking about religious Brahma here. I'm talking about the Bri Dhatu, which means to expand. When somebody says, Aham Brahmasmi, it does not mean like they become God. They're more like a scientist. They're open. Now I want to understand this, I want to understand that, and I want to understand everything. When we get there, which is almost no scientist will ever say, because we change our own opinions. I have changed many times, but for the time being, you accept and you pursue, which is the same thing if you really look at neti. Not this, you keep going. So both of them then connect. Science connects in true sense, especially when we're talking about life science. And Ayurveda literally means science of life. So Ayurvedic principles, I was listening to two very prominent speakers and how they are trying to make, one is particle physics and one is putting every particles together to, make us more knowledgeable about things, learn about these things. But here I'm talking about, how the life begins even before the particles. I have spent time with Baba Ramdev's group. I went there twice to talk to their scientists to see what they think about Ayurveda. One of the basic things that we understand is pranic energy. What is pranic energy? I'm a biophysical chemist. I do a lot of heat measurements, microcalorimetry and everything. And I'm trying to find out whether pranic energy is like some kind of delta H, delta G, or something like that. It's beyond that, and which is one of the pursuits that I still have. What is that pranic energy? Pranic energy is the one creates Panchabhutas. And when I forget the name of the professor, doctor who was doing particle physics, she's talking about particles, which starts from Big Bang. Just think about Big Bang, is, we all know that light travels faster than sound. But why we call it Big Bang? Why we don't call it Big Flash? Because we obviously sight first. Because in Ayurvedic philosophy and Vaisheshik philosophy, they consider the Akash Tattva, or the ether, is first. The particles come out of that. Ether is where there is nothing, it's just energy. The particles come out of that, and that's when the whatever we have sun today is the fusion, hydrogen fusion. just like a hydrogen bomb, millions of hydrogen bombs around. And then those particles are the ones which create that energy, and we can get here. Whatever, rest of is that you have Agni, then you have the Jal, Tattva, or water, or the earth, or like what we are today. So we are starting from there, from that sound. That sound there, and that particle physics we heard this first time, is the one gap. What is that sound? And I went to, somebody said that Puri Sankaracharya is a big, knowledgeable person about these Panchabhutas. So they invited me, I went there. And initially he was very upset with me because he thought that I'm showing off my scientific credentials from United States or something. I really didn't. I just held like I said, one of the things that I learned from my village and my family is that to be always humble, especially if somebody is senior. You just want to be, whatever they say, listen and see whatever you can learn. Ultimately, he told me, without going into this, he eventually did call my hotel room. He said he wants to meet with me. The only reason, because Shraddhavan Labhate Jnanam. If you are polite, his assistant said, he's very impressed with your politeness. Not because I know anything about it. So what he said, this will connect to your question. What he really told me, initially I had conversation with him, it's on YouTube, I think they produced it, was that he said, I kept asking him where the pranic energy comes from. And he had actually retired to his quarters, then came back 5 minutes later. He said, Atma. So the atom that we are talking about, excuse me, is the same definition, even though now we say there is subparticles, electron, proton, and boson, and all that we are talking about. But atom is same this definition that cannot be destroyed, and so cannot be Atma. So real meaning of Atma, if they really want to get the particle physics people, they really have to thinking about Atma.
We're becoming a society that's increasingly uncomfortable with this and that. We need everything to be in boxes. We need everything to be ticked and clearly defined, etc. Do you think that affects research in a certain way? Because, as I said, we're living in a 24/7 world. Information is available so easily that we are forgetting that information is the thread with which the fabric of knowledge gets woven. You think that's hampering research because we're too obsessed with labels and too scared of asking questions?
Yeah, I think it does get affected, but I think it is part of the process. I'm writing actually a book, editing a book, where I'm getting, fortunately I have connection with various agencies in America, like including CIA. Once actually a CIA is like, I'm having conversation with you. Who knows, when I go back, somebody will show up in my office. It happens. So CIA agent, I have CIA, Department of Homeland Security, CDC, and all that. What I'm writing, what I was talking to answer your question is, there are so many factors that determine science. There is nothing wrong. Because if I tell you right now, you will unnecessarily fight anybody who says, this has to be done like that, has to be done. Well, let them do it. And then, when I was, again, coming from a village, when the urea fertilizer came first, we used to stand in the queue, one family member, the whole day to get one sack of urea, because it was such a great progress. I don't have to deal with the cow dung and everything else. You just go spread in your field. In third day, you see greenery. But now, nobody wants to eat that. They pay double the price to have that cow dung.
Organics.
So yeah. I think people should be allowed to make their mistakes.